Hi guys. So I've been putting off making this video for several weeks. It's just this type of video is something that I don't like seeing on other people's channels where they're asking people to join their Patreon and donate and like, comment and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell because it's just irritating. I at least keep that garbage down into the description box where nobody sees it. But I find myself in a position where I need to make this video. I need to ask you guys to find it in your heart to become a patron for me, because I really don't know what else to do at this moment in time. I try to keep my personal life separate from this channel. I mean, I mention things here, there, and some of my friends are in some of the games and whatnot, but for the general part, I try to separate them, which is kind of healthy. But if you try to consider YouTube as a business, I don't think I've really gotten to that point. I don't really consider this YouTube business, but I still see them as separate entities. But I think I have to give some context to help you understand why I'm doing this. So I don't know if it's come across in my videos because I've kind of tried to not let it come across. Plus, I haven't made that many videos lately. I've been deeply unhappy for 2 months. The reason for this change, if you may have heard in some of the videos, I've changed my job role. So I changed the role itself and moved stores. So I work in retail. So I've needed to go full-time for quite a few years now, and I just haven't done it because I wasn't happy with anything that was presented in front of me. The idea has always been to move out of this share house that I'm in and move to an apartment of my own where I could have my own space, where I wouldn't keep having people walking in the middle of my videos, and so I have to cut that part. And it's just, I'm just kind of done being around other people in my living space. So I really needed a full-time job to be able to afford to move out by myself, because that shit's expensive. I don't know if any of you have looked at housing prices in Brisbane at the moment. But apartments for one person are freaking through the roof. It's expensive. So not only did I need to get a full-time job, it had to be a full-time job that met my financial requirements, because otherwise there's just no point. So this role came up at another store. It was full-time. The job itself, I thought I wouldn't mind. It's a monotonous job, but I kind of like monotonous tasks, which is kind of weird. Don't ask me why. I really need to get something more mentally stimulating, but I seem to like monotonous jobs. So I thought this was good. This was a good opportunity for me to finally get where I need to be. But it hasn't turned out that way. When I interviewed for this job, because you still needed to go through an interview even though it was an internal transfer, I was asked what I required of this job. So I told my future manager, I said, I need to continue to work Sundays. So given when I was employed in the company and the laws at the time, we were getting paid double time on Sundays. And getting paid double time is very important because that's a shit ton of money. But also it's the only way I can afford to move into an apartment by myself and still save money. If you're just paying paycheck to paycheck and saving no money, as far as I'm concerned, you're living life wrong, because you're not doing anything that you enjoy. So and also you have no emergency funds. Like, emergency funds are very important. So I have set up the expectation that I need to earn a certain amount so that I can move out and still save either for myself or for emergencies. That was a non-negotiable. So I said, hey, I need to still work Sundays. I've worked them every week for the last 5 years. I've always been rostered on Sundays. So I'd like to continue working them. That's actually important. The fact that I've already been working them. You'll have to read the retail awards to understand why, but it's important that I have worked them previously. And then I said that I need to I need to have 2 consecutive days off in a week rather than having my 2 days off separated. That was important to me as well. Obviously not from a financial perspective because it makes no difference, but I've not worked full time before. But even just working part-time, I knew that part-time was my limit mentally of what I could work, because I know people have their careers and their jobs, and people actually enjoy going to work because they're doing things that they love. I liked my part-time job. I wouldn't say I loved it, but I liked it enough to do it 3 days a week. But I really couldn't see doing it more than 3 days a week because it's just not where I want to spend my time. It's not my passion. My passion is in gaming and writing, neither of which are my job. Well, the job kind of related to gaming, but still. So working more than 3 days a week has never been a realistic plan for me mentally because it just seems like a waste of time. I know that sounds stupid because you need money to survive, and I'm not stupid, I get that. But just mentally, I knew that working more than 3 days a week was going to be very difficult for me mentally because it's hard for me to take time away from the things that I enjoy to do something I don't enjoy purely for monetary reasons. It's very difficult mentally. So I knew that I needed 2 days off in a row if I was going to cope with working 5 days in a row. And during the interview, he didn't seem to have any problem with it. He was like, yeah, okay, yeah, nods to the other person that was interviewing, and that seemed okay. It didn't seem to be an issue when he offered me the job. It didn't come up at all. It didn't seem to be an issue when I got my roster while I was waiting to start. It didn't seem to be an issue on the first 2 weeks of the job. However, come week 3 of the job, then we suddenly had a problem. I looked at my roster and saw that I had been rostered a few weeks ahead for a Saturday. So I went up to my manager and was like, hey, what's up with this? Is it just because, we're going into Black Friday or preparations for Black Friday sales? Is that why I'm working a different day? And he goes, oh, yeah, I've been meaning to talk to you about that. I'm like, what? And he says, yeah, because there was another girl who moved into the same role as me. So we both went from part-time work in other parts of the stores into full-time into this position. And we both wanted to work Sundays and have consecutive days off. And he says, nah, you can't work every Sunday. You have to work every second Sunday, and you have to have like the Saturdays on the other week. If I work every second Saturday, that means I can't have consecutive days off every second week. So that was a deal breaker. But also, working a Saturday instead of a Sunday, I'm no longer earning enough money to move out and save. Every second week, I would not be saving money. I would just be spending money. So I just was in a state of shock, so I couldn't say this to him. But it's just, he took away my choice to have agency over my own life. If he'd told me in the interview, if he'd told me when he offered me the job that I couldn't have those 2 things I asked for, I wouldn't have taken the job because I knew what I needed. I had a financial threshold I had to meet to survive. And I also had mental requirements to continue having my mental health being functional at the very minimum. And he's violated the 2 things that I needed in this job. So right from week 3, I knew I was stuck for at least past Christmas because how do you get a job around Christmas time? But I knew that at some point soon I would have to quit because I need to get out of a share house. I need to get to a place of my own, but I need to also work in a way that's healthy for me mentally. And this is not it. I am struggling so much, even worse because of where Black Friday fell on the roster. So I had 3 whole weeks of no consecutive days off, of long days at work. Oh my God, I've been spiraling downwards ever since. And it's not just that at the job. There are so many other things. Just, it's dusty, whereas my other store wasn't. So my allergies act up almost every day, which is just absolutely ridiculous. So I'm just sneezing and having watery eyes and a runny nose constantly because of the workplace. And then I struggled to get time off. I was only asking for 2 days because my ankles had been injured by crouching so much over the Black Friday week because there was a lot of stock that had to keep going back on the shelf and things had to be straightened and rearranged, and it was excessive compared to normal. And I did a shit ton of crouching or, kneeling and sitting back on your haunches and stuff to deal with lower leveled stuff. And that had injured my ankles. So I needed a couple of days off to recover. One of my managers told me flat out that I couldn't take any time off to heal myself, which I found probably illegal, but also just strange that I was being denied time off to recover from what is essentially a workplace injury. And I just, I haven't recovered from that. I just couldn't believe that I was told that. I did eventually take the time off. I kind of forced the hand in that regard by just booking a doctor's appointment to get a medical certificate. But I just, it's not a healthy workplace. It isn't, not for me anyway. And then there's also the fact that I'm coming home every single day fatigued. I know people work on their feet. Many people do it. Tradesmen, workmen, retail. There's just so many professions that do it and they survive, and yay to them. But for whatever reason, my body isn't adjusting to being on its feet 5 days in a row every week. We're just over 2 months into this new role and my body still isn't adjusting. I'm still coming home fatigued, which means I have no energy to exercise. And even if I did try to exercise, I would be doing so in a very unsafe manner. I don't think I would be able to hold myself in check and do things with the proper, what's the word I'm looking for? Form, so that I don't injure myself. It'd be very unsafe for me to exercise. And because I'm not exercising and I'm stressed, I'm gaining weight. I'm eating way too much sugar. I'm not getting healthier because I'm not exercising. And that is also massively impacting my emotional and mental health. I know it sounds melodramatic, but I'm really spiraling downhill and I'm struggling to dig myself out of this hole. And I need help. And I know the simple answer would just be to quit my job and get a new one, but life isn't that simple. One, it's the worst time of year to try and get a job. Christmas and beginning of the year is horrible because all the graduates are getting jobs. They've already been hired for all these new jobs. But it's not even that. It's just, I've worked many different jobs over my years in many different industries. And I honestly can't look at a single job I've had, a single industry I've worked in, any type of role I've dabbled in, and say that that's a job that I want to do full time. I thought that doing this job full time would be okay because I enjoyed doing this sort of job 3 days a week, but it's not. Clearly, it's not something I enjoy doing because the only things I enjoy are gaming and writing. I can't get a job in gaming because they barely exist in Australia. I would have to move most likely to America because that's where the bulk of the gaming industry is. But that in itself is a problem because I don't feel comfortable moving to America. But there's also the fact that it's hard to get a job in writing and gaming because everybody wants you to have previous experience. It's that stupid circle and catch-22, and it's so difficult. They rarely ever advertise writing jobs, like ever. Trust me, I've been looking for years. But they always require you to have had proven writing experience, which I don't have. So that's not even an option for multiple reasons. And any other writing job that I can get in Australia is not the kind of job, rather not the kind of writing I enjoy. So I can't even really get a writing job that I want either. What I would need to do is work on my own project, get it out in the world, and then I have some sort of tangible proof that I can write. And then maybe I can get hired by a company that relates to what I've written. And then I would get a job in writing. But to do that, I need to finish the project I'm working on. And it's going to be at least a year for me to get through it because it's a big project. And I don't know that I can keep, I know that I can't keep going as I currently am, trying to just get to that point for a year. I've only been at this job for 2 months and I'm already struggling. I'm already at rock bottom, quite frankly. So there might be an avenue to get into writing further into the future, but that doesn't help me now. What I would like to do is to go back to part-time work and focus more on the gaming for this channel. I'm not stupid or naive or unrealistic enough to expect enough Patreon donations. It's not even a donation from Patreon, but you know what I mean. To allow me to game full time. That is an incredible amount of money that people would have to contribute. And given how many active people are on my channel, it's impossible. It's never going to happen. I'm not stupid enough to think that. But if I could get to a point where I have enough Patreons that I can pull back to part-time work, that is sustainable. It's definitely a way to bring back my happiness, where I get to focus more on the things that make me happy. And yes, it's mostly about me, let's face it. But at the end of the day, if I can do that, that means that I can make more videos for you guys. I can play more of the games that I want to play. I've got a massive backlist of games that I want to play for myself. But it also means that I would be able to play more games for you that you want me to play. You guys request frequently for me to play this game and that game. And I keep going, I just don't have time, guys, especially now that I'm working full time. Like, I genuinely don't even have time for my own list of games, let alone anything else that you suggest. If I can pull back to part-time work, I can dedicate that extra time to playing the games that you ask me to play. I still need to play Horizon Zero Dawn. Some of you guys are asking me to play more D&D RPG tabletop sort of games. And even though isometrics are not really the kind of game I love, I don't mind that because it's a D&D game. So I could probably actually play those and enjoy them. But I can't do that right now because I don't have the time. But if I can get enough patrons, I can pull back from work and dedicate that time to playing those kinds of games for you. So this was a very, very long-winded video to get to this point, and I'm sorry. I probably should have had a plan going into this video rather than just ranting and raving incoherently, and also getting very teary in the middle of that. But what I'm asking is, could you find it in your heart to become a patron? It's not exactly donating, because donating is kind of just like a one-off thing. Patreon is an ongoing month-by-month donation. And it's a way that a way for artists to get paid to do what they like to do, what they love to do, to follow their passion. And I'm not asking for you to fork out $100 a month. Like, that's just stupid. I'm not even going to go there. I'm pretty sure I've got some unrealistic amount on my Patreon page, but that was just being facetious. I'm not asking for that. I'm just asking if you can find it within yourself to I can't get away from the word donate, to give even just $1 a month. Because if lots of you do $1 a month, it adds up. So while it might seem like spare change to you, to me, that could be a life-changing amount of money. And then maybe someone or a few people decide to give $2. Again, when it adds up, this is actually life-changing money for me, which sounds silly, but it's true. Every single dollar counts. And if you don't like to phrase it as like donating or giving, because I myself struggle with that mentality for other people, you could see it from like a completely different perspective. Like, what is the price of coffee? Okay, that was a bad example because the price of coffee fluctuates depending on size and what you order, but I guess you get the point. A coffee's what, $5? So you could think of it as you buying me a coffee once a month if you donate $5 a month. Maybe you are a particularly kind and generous human being and you want to buy me a coffee every week. So that would be $20. My point is that you can phrase it different ways to make it more palatable to you, and the way that I struggle to make it palatable to me. But I see that a lot more approachable if I think about it as buying someone a coffee every month. And that's what you can see it as if it helps you. But in all honesty, any dollar that comes from you guys can help me make more videos for you and find my happiness again. Because it's gone. It's been gone for 2 months. And I don't know how to find it again right this moment otherwise. That's a really grim note to finish on. I'm not quite sure how to bring that back to a more positive tone, but just if you could just support me with even just $1 a month, just $1 a month, I would be so immensely grateful. I don't think you understand how important it is, and it would be to me if you guys did this. I would just be forever thankful.